5 red flags to look out for in a job description.
If they tell you it's a fast-paced environment, what they're really saying is they're understaffed, they're going to overwork you and not pay you.
Tell me why I have an interview, it goes super well, and at the end of the interview the guy goes, "Is it okay that this is unpaid?"
Okay, so today we have either a fun or depressing video, whatever way you want to see it, because we're going to be looking at some terrible job listings and demands. Some people use this as a way to be grateful for the job that they currently have. Others see it on how bad it is to hop into the job market. And of course, we have people who see this as pure entertainment for how crazy all of this has gotten. We have a ton of stuff to go over today, along with comments from you guys from previous videos. So if you want to be featured on a future video, leave in the comments down below. But let's just jump right into it.
You know, no one wants to work anymore. No one wants to work. Well, maybe this is why, Steve. Look at this job posting. Okay, I'm blocking the salary for a minute. E-learning, media designer, web designer. Also, it's a temporary position, whatever that means. This job is a full-on designer and developer. You're creating all the images, graphics, 3D assets. You're also coding in HTML and CSS, so you have to be a proficient coder. They want a bachelor's degree, 4 to 6 years of experience, all of these skills and expertise in all these programs, and they're offering $20,000. That is $9 per hour, so why bother? Why? Panda Express down the street pays $17 an hour, so I would rather work there for double that salary.
And to be honest, I don't even think you'd get that $20,000 base salary. At the beginning of the listing, it was a temporary position. This sounds like they need somebody who's very experienced, 4 to 6 years, with everything else that they listed for a project they want to do. And as soon as you're done with it working for $9 an hour, they'll just fire you. It also says entry level and then 4 to 6 years experience is the very definition of non-entry level. I'm currently job hunting and just found one that required a PhD that was offering $60,000. I asked you guys in the comments as well, what's the worst job listing you've ever seen? A dental assistant job listed as an entry-level job, just like the last example. In addition to several tests, I had a generic work assignment. They literally wanted me to take over someone else's job assignments during the application process. We're going to see a ton of examples in this video with companies basically wanting free labor like this. For CNC machining, you need to be youthful and have 5 years of machining in both lathing and machining. Are you supposed to be 16 and have access to $300,000 worth of machinery? Job listing on Indeed said armed security guard with 3 years of experience, law enforcement experience, and will pay minimum wage. I work as an unarmed guard here in California for $21 an hour just to watch a trailer lot. California minimum wage is $16. That's how much they were offering for an experienced guard. One demanded a warehouse degree and a year of experience as a manager in a warehouse for an entry-level position. And no, a warehouse degree is not a necessity. Everything it teaches can be learned from an on-the-job experience. Looking for accounting jobs, just saw an entry-level one that was asking for 10 years of experience and a master's degree preferred. We just started this video and are getting basically these same examples over and over again. But we're going to start off with one of the classic job listings. Wanted, a sales beast. Instant red flag. You can make anywhere from $40,000 to $200,000 a year. Quite a wide range there, huh? This is a remote role. However, you must be based in Florida for this position. Wanted, a sales gladiator who has the courage to earn $200,000 per year. Dear sales warlord. All right, so you're a sales beast, a gladiator, and a warlord right off the bat. If you've been searching through countless lifeless job listings, almost slipping into a deep coma from the "we're looking for a highly experienced and motivated sales professional, blah, blah, blah," and if you've been looking for that opportunity to upgrade your skill set and align yourself with the fastest growing digital agency in Australia, which is kind of odd that they wanted remote-based workers that were only located in Florida. I thought at least that this would be a Florida-based company. I guess not. Then this will be the most important job listing you've ever read. Here's why. Firstly, stop what you're doing and watch this. We're looking for a sharp, hungry, switched-on sales warlord to join our team. Okay. You guys get the gist of this. It just keeps going on and on. I like how earlier they made fun of the listing saying, you know, we're looking for a highly experienced, motivated worker. Even though that's exactly what they're doing in this post as well. They're just using even more ridiculous wording. And the $40,000 to $200,000 salary, I could almost guarantee that you'll be getting paid $40,000. You will not be hitting that $200,000 a year. They just want to put that in the listing to try to get people to apply. But we'll move on to a mandatory background verification verification, which is pretty common, however, takes about 3 to 4 minutes and costs you $30. This fee is required by TransUnion, not us, and is non-refundable. So just to be able to apply to this company, you're losing $30 for this background check. We've also seen examples similar in previous videos where the background check just cost a couple dollars from this Indeed listing. Maybe it was only $5. However, it had hundreds or possibly thousands of applicants, which made people start looking into the listing. And some of these are just complete scams just to farm $5 out of people who absolutely need to get a job right now. Here we can move on to a couple examples with very specific age limits. I don't know how this is really allowed, but here, qualifications required, 2018 to 2023 college graduate. I guess if you graduated in 2017, you are too old for this job, but if you're fresh out of college, you're too young. Very odd. Along with 2+ years of experience in talent recruiting. Another one here just straight up asking, are you under the age of 40? Guess they're not looking for anybody over the age of that either. Here's a senior customer service representative paying $27 to $30 per hour. Expected hours, 80 hours a week. If they're putting that on the listing right off the bat, it's going to most likely be even higher. You're just going to live there. I mean, $30 is on the higher end for what we're going to see in this video, but still, that just seems like a ridiculous amount of hours to me. Here's a very interesting one. This role will be based out of future Scott Motors corporate headquarters, which is anticipated to be identified in 2025. This role may be remote to start, but you'll have to transition to an in-office setting at the headquarters after the location is determined. They don't even know where it's going, and you're expected to relocate at such time. This role will not be eligible for remote work in NYC, so they're possibly getting an office building in the future, have no idea where it's going to be in the country, but as soon as they find it, you're required to take your entire life, uproot it, and move to wherever the building is. And again, I've seen experiences of people doing just that, and within a few weeks or months after working for that company, they end up getting laid off for budget cuts. So now you're stuck in an area that you didn't want to go to initially and out of a job simultaneously. I don't even really know what else to say.
Tell me why I have an interview. It goes super well. And at the end of the interview, the guy goes, is it okay that this is unpaid? No! No, it's not okay. The job listing says paid work. Paid work. So you mean to tell me I can get college credit for this? Except, little do you know, to get college credit, you have to pay $1,200 or however much it is for the internship class to put on your schedule. So basically, you have to pay to get the credits, and I have to put in 40 hours a week for a job I'm not getting paid? No. That is crazy. And then I respectfully denied it. I was like, no, I'm so sorry. Thank you for the opportunity, whatever. And the guy looked disappointed. You lied to me!
This is on top of seeing more job listings saying that internship doesn't count as experience. They want somebody who's already had the job for a number of years. So if you're freshly out of college, what are you supposed to do? Here's another one, personal assistant to the CEO. Your qualifications from this job, and they just start rattling off a ton of stuff you could see up on screen. We're looking for a motivated, proactive, detail-oriented, personal executive assistant. Just honestly, the same descriptions that you see in every job listing. And this pays anywhere from $5 to $9 an hour, 10 to 20 hours a week, and you need 3 years of experience just to get that $5. Doesn't seem too worth it to me, to be honest. Senior full stack engineer intern. At a glance, right off the bat, this is unpaid. This is an internship that's 30 hours a week. That, of course, wants you to do everything that an actual paid employee would do, but it's all for the experience, right? Your resume will look so much better. Just another example of a company wanting free labor. We have a comment from one of you guys. An internship is not about gaining experience anymore. It's about getting free labor out of someone who already knows how to do the role. Hit the nail right on the head. Here we have a screenshot that goes well with the next clip. Do you have a passion for helping others? What's your favorite food and why? And then why are you interested in this position? Obviously, the only answer for the last question is money, even though I guess you're supposed to be doing it for the passion, the love of the game. But the other ones, what's your favorite food and why? Do you have a passion for helping others? Who cares? This is supposed to be a job to put food on the table.
Is this the shit that you have people going through for job applications nowadays? Like people, like, this is an AI personality test. And it's like, just rant, like, what? This is for a barista job. You would, like, what? This is so dumb. This is so dumb.
Every job I've done this for, I've never heard back from. I've run restaurants for 20 years. Those personality tests are BS. It's so when we don't hire you, we have something to point at so you can't sue us. Another one from you guys here. I had a temp job when I was in college in 1991 that paid $15 an hour. That's $33 an hour with inflation adjusted. The requirement was I was breathing and wanted to work. And you could see how different the climate is now in 2025. Everything is unpaid or embarrassingly low. And you have to know somebody that's already in the company just to get your foot in the door, just requirement after requirement. It's all getting to be way too much. Why would you like to work for our company? Money. Why do you feel this would be a good fit for the role as described? See resume. That's the whole reason why these companies want it, right? Suspend all disbelief for a moment. If you were stranded on a desert island and could only watch 3 movies for the remainder of your time, what 3 movies would you want to take with you? Why do you care? You already know this is for a job that isn't worth all of these dumb questions. Some very interesting requirements on this listing: proactive go-getter, natural goal-oriented, high integrity, high energy, but then must be in good physical condition, able to run 3 to 5 miles at a 12 to 13 minute pace. So initially you would think that this is some physically demanding job, right? However, this is an assistant to the CEO position. And yes, I applied. Again, we just have one of the ridiculous listings: 7-day work week. We will not be outworked. That being said, weekends are more flexible. Okay to grab brunch or dinner. Other than that, you better be working 24/7. No sleep. A players only. Drive. You're so hungry to do what it takes to win. Grind. Urgency. Shameless. Be extremely annoying if it means winning. Fast firing. Mission driven. Wear as many hats. No job is not your job, so you're going to do everything. And it keeps going on and on. I mean, with how crazy these listings are, I bet they still get a ton of applicants because of how bad this job market is.
One day at my former employee, my coworker said, "Hey, don't forget, this Saturday is the mandatory volunteer weekend." And I'm like, "What?" She's like, "Yeah, everybody has to volunteer for at least 8 hours on Saturday. You need to sign up for your shift." I said, "Oh, I'm good. I'm not going to do it." She goes, "Oh, no, you don't get a choice. It's mandatory." I said, "Mandatory volunteering?" "Yeah, it's mandatory." I'm like, "No, it's not. Like, you can't put the word volunteer and mandatory together. I'm not volunteering. I will come and you will pay me. If my employer is telling me I have to be there, I will come and you will pay me." No, it's volunteering. Everybody has to volunteer.
Mandatory volunteering equals court-ordered community service. Did they admit to violating labor laws? Forced panhandling is wild because she explained a little bit later in the video. That's exactly what they were doing. They'd be in the middle of the road at a stoplight intersection asking everybody for money for their company. And that was mandatory unpaid labor. Thank you for applying to the social media manager role at Plush. We reviewed your application and think you might be a good fit. We would like to invite you to the next step of the interview process. Please complete this short creative assignment within the next 3 business days. Create a 15 to 60 second TikTok or Instagram video that you think could drive users to Plush. Please post it on your account and submit the video via this form. So everybody who got to the next step of the interview process now had to advertise to their personal social media audience that they were possibly going to work for Plush. So drive traffic over to their social media. And I bet when they initially wrote this out, they had no idea how absolutely ridiculous this is. Another very specific example of ageism: have you reached your 16th birthday but not your 40th birthday? Yes, no, and I do not wish to answer. Are you the hardest working person you know? You tell the truth. You follow the golden rule. You're kind to puppies, babies, and people. You aren't afraid of hard work and think being cleaner can be pretty cool. You believe if at first you don't succeed, try again. You believe work should be more than just a place to lose your time for a few bucks. AKA, you're not going to pay nearly as much as you should. Do these kinds of examples really work on people anymore? Another comment from you guys here: I interviewed with a company recently for a fully remote position. They asked me what hobbies I have and why I left every single company I ever worked for. I have about 12 years of experience and worked for 4 companies. And I left the first company more than 10 years ago. Whenever I take an HR interview and she tells me she has a master's in psychology, I just know it's going to be bad.
So, my boss asked me, "Hey, why don't you take on more work? Why don't you take on more responsibility? Show some initiative." Show some initiative? Take on more responsibility? Do more work? Okay, pay me more. well, shouldn't it be about the money? What? No. Why would I do more work for the same pay? Just for the chance of you might promote me. And then when you do promote me, I'm doing more work, but for a little bit more pay. Make it make sense, please.
All to just overwork and underpay their employees as much as humanly possible. Another one of the cookie cutter listings here. This opportunity is not for people who need a stable, well-paying job. Alright, then I'm out immediately. Who we're looking for? Someone with fire in their eyes who wants to pursue massive impacts and help build a legendary company. Sure, someone who's willing to live the ramen and instant coffee lifestyle for a bit before we raise venture capital. Promise we'll have an amazing dinner after we raised our first round. Well, on the absolute minuscule chance that that will ever happen on a startup, you get one nice dinner after you've basically been scrounging because you're not getting paid for your work. And on top of it, there's crazy requirements, a doctorate or at least a master's in either material science and engineering. Just a ton of different degrees. You want me to have a PhD in one of these when you're basically not paying me. All again for the love of the game, for the startups. Have fun with your coffee and ramen too. Just an absolute joke. And speaking of that, riddle time, forward is heavy, backward is not. What is it? This is for some digital graphic design job as well. What does this have to do with anything? Another minimum of 6 years of experience for £25,000. So clearly this listing is in the UK. Even though a majority of these examples are in the US, this is still happening all over the world. A fully remote systems engineer that lasts 6 months. Required skill, science engineering, company experience, but a red flag is short-term experience like 1 year or less in a recent project. But this current role is only going to last 6 months. You can't ask for long-term experience if this isn't a long-term job. Another comment from you guys, 2 years ago I saw a job post for a management position at Jimmy John's. It said it must be willing to work a minimum of 50 hours a week, be available for all days, all shifts, and be on call at all times. Starting pay was $14. I swear I can make these videos last for hours with all of these examples.
5 red flags to look out for in a job description. 1. Entry-level roles that are not 0 years of experience. Need I say more? 2. No salary listed on the job description. Probably just means they want to underpay you and that they really don't care about you. 3. We're a family. No, you're not. As soon as times get tough, layoffs are happening. You don't lay off a family member. 4. Vague job descriptions. This could probably mean that 1, your role isn't really that useful, and 2, you might be the first to be let go in an event of a layoff. And 5, any work that's required before the interview. If they require you to do take-home assignments, video interviews, or anything else beyond the application, red flag.
Now, I think this comment from you guys goes well with that clip. They aren't hiring, they're collecting data. So when you see these ridiculous red flags from all of these job listings, making you put in a ton of your own personal information, it could all just be a way of collecting data, using it against you, either trying to sell you ads, possibly trying to raise insurance premiums as well, as crazy as that sounds. It's truly insane how much these companies use your data. I mean, this is supposed to be a joke, but I honestly wouldn't put it past some of these companies. I do 50 to 60 job interviews in here every day. I never hire anyone, but half the applicants buy a drink from the vending machine after I subtly encourage them to. I make $300 a day in passive income with this method. Well, if you leave up a job listing that you never hire and you consistently get more applicants that you could then sell their data to other companies, it's kind of the same thing as this joke. I recently came across your profile and think you'd be a great fit for our residency. As you may know, our nation is facing critical shortage of elementary school teachers. And then they send a job posting aspiring teachers $30,000 to $40,000 a year, full-time. There was even a response, have you tried raising the pay rate? It's a bit tone deaf to say there's a national shortage of teachers and then offer minimum wage compensation, with all due respect. Who's going to go through schooling and then having to deal with kids for $30,000 a year? Another couple of questions, what was your ending salary? I guess your previous job? And then please list your salary history below. I guess every job you've ever had? And then under that, list the reason for leaving each position below. How much information do they really need about your old jobs? Now, this next clip I thought was pretty funny because this was a podcast with a couple business owners that, let's just say, backfired pretty heavily.
The vacations are getting pretty high, though, especially with the people younger than us.
The younger generation wants like a 3-week vacation so they can go to Machu Picchu and like pick up some rocks.
I've had people come to my office and be like, yeah, so just so you know, like I have already planned like a 3-week vacation like 2 months from now.
Can I have a bonus before I start?
So I just want to like let you know that.
And with this screenshot, you could see 269 likes and 550 comments. You two seem like those managers who never have a clue on why turnover is so high, and then always blame other people for problems that start with you. Your wig, sir, and it's a clown costume. Is this rage bait, right? Nope, this is a clip from our podcast. He started replying to a ton of these comments, which is not the best thing to do. The worst leaders mock people who work for them. Hope every potential candidate sees this and takes a different job. Take care of your people and they'll provide you value. It's not that hard to plan around. And people wonder why employees have no loyalty to companies. With leaders like this, who needs enemies? Thankful people post stuff like this so I could better identify terrible bosses. I mean, it just went on and on. Him also trying to defend himself in the comments just made the entire situation worse. But we have another comment from you guys. My fiance received a job offer, so he quit the job he currently had. He drove to another state and spent a day in training and then came back home. The next day, the company eliminated the job they hired him for, and they refused to pay him for that day he spent training.
A couple months ago, I declined to interview at a company because I thought their interview process was way too ridiculous and extensive. Keep in mind, this was for an entry-level marketing job, and I think they were offering between 50 to 55K. The company was asking for 5 rounds of interviews, which I would honestly say is normal nowadays, but the interviews themselves were each an hour or an hour and a half, which is not normal. Maybe in other industries, but definitely not for an entry-level marketing role. On top of that, they also wanted candidates to complete a full project and send in multiple references. Like, I don't know, it just seemed like a lot. I totally get that companies have to make sure that they're doing everything they can to find the right person, but no one should have to do what feels like a full-time job in order to get a full-time job.
So to start off, anywhere from 5 to 7 hours worth of interviews, and then, of course, we got more free labor. I'm sorry, but 5 interviews for an entry-level role is absolutely absurd. 2 interviews max. The full project is unpaid for labor. No. Here's one that I hope is honestly fake and just rage bait. Assistant manufacturing marketing manager must have 20 plus years of experience with a salary of $18 to $22 an hour. At best, you'd be making $44,000 a year when you've been doing this for almost the entirety of my life. It's honestly just embarrassing for the company to put that up online. Another one listing a whole bunch of responsibilities and qualifications and must-haves preferred 14 years of experience preferred as well. This better be a crazy high-paying job, but I could almost guarantee it's not. Junior software engineer, over 100 applicants, 5+ years of hands-on experience. Again, junior software engineer. And as I was searching through getting the clips and screenshots for this video, I found this as well. Save $60,000 a year per hire. Hire Hangar developers pre-vetted offshore talent at 1/3 of the US cost, with an AI photo saying, "Hey business owners, are you tired of expensive US hires?" Another comment here, I work in law. A ton of positions are now actually putting "Do not apply if you live in the United States" on the job posting. You'd think they want somebody who knows the law of the country they work for. It's absolutely wild. With AI also coming into play with all of these problems, the future honestly does not look good. And there's a lot of people just breaking down at their current job because they know how bad it truly is out in the market right now.
So my job has so many metrics that we have to meet. So many metrics. And it's not even our fault that we can't meet them. And then you add on top of that, I literally can't. I'm like, it's over. Work just started and I'm already crying and I'm already having a panic attack and I already took my medicine. I can't do this. It's so bad. Like, this work management, they're so micromanaging and they're just overbearing and it sucks.
So this is basically a lose-lose situation. You're at your current job that you're overworked and underpaid and terrified that you're going to get fired because the other side of this, the job market, is in shambles. What are you really supposed to do? There is no winning.
Millennials are using PTO simply to catch up on sleep. That's according to a new report which surveyed 1,200 people, and it reported that over 1/3 of Americans, who are talking 37%, have taken off PTO directly to catch up on sleep. And this actually is across all different demographics. However, the report report specifically found that millennials were the most likely to do this, and it was women in particular who were the most sleep deprived. And look, on the basis, it's kind of like, well, that's absolutely fine, right? I think, you know, your holiday's your holiday. If you want to use it to catch up on sleep and just completely switch off, that is totally up to you. However, where I find it quite interesting is when we get into the performance element, because 57% of US adults say that they would perform better if they got more sleep. And that is actually quite interesting, right? Because if we're saying over 1 in 2 of our workforce would deliver a better job if they got more sleep, is there not a potential case to actually look at how we kind of structure things and see if there's a way to drive that performance up? And then there's obviously the basic question of whether PTO should be used simply just for sleep, or whether you kind of get more value out of it for using it in other ways, like catching up with family, travel, and all those other things.
So now we have people using their paid time off that they would normally take, you know, some sort of vacation, and instead they're just catching up on sleep because of how much they're overworked. I know a lot of people say something similar like this comment. These videos are a reminder for me to not leave my job and just stay working for that paycheck, which overall I do agree with this high cost of living climate. It's of course better to have money coming in, especially when you see screenshots like this: 1,715 applications, 1,300 no answer, 400 rejected, 15 interviews, and finally getting one job. But it doesn't mean that that one job isn't going to be brutal as well. So we're going to finish off this video with kind of a funny clip, giving a lot of these companies and interviewers a taste of their own medicine of this guy just trolling and wasting time.
Your resume says you're an art major, so why are you applying for a chemical engineering position?
Well, that's a good question. So, you know, I totally get what you're coming from. You know, this definitely seems like a curveball.
Then walk me through the process of optimizing production in a mature oil field. What techniques would you consider, and how do you balance recovery rate, cost efficiency, and environmental impact?
That's just the easiest question in my life. I'm telling you. So I will start by looking at current production data.
So I personally don't like using anything AI or the ChatGPT stuff, but using it to get an answer to basically waste the interviewer's time is pretty funny. The description says the same thing. Well, companies are using AI interviewers too, so I don't see anything wrong with it. I don't know. This whole situation is just looking really rough. But that's all I got for you guys today. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. YouTube thinks you'll like this video popping up on screen right now, but hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, and I'll talk to you guys later.